Today in this video we are going to see HTML canvas and SVG. So let's start with the canvas first. The canvas is a kind of graphic element which is introduced in HTML5, and with this you can create games or write some text on it, or if you want you can create images on it as well. Basically it can contain anything you want, and that is something which you can handle with the help of JavaScript. So that is the canvas, and canvas is a tag to which you have to provide height and width in order to select what size of canvas you want, and whatever ID you give to the canvas, that is going to be used by JavaScript in order to draw the things on it. So this is our canvas. This is created with this code. Canvas ID is whatever you want, you can give. Height and width is this thing with which it will create this much size of canvas. Then border it we have given for this with the help of CSS, and that's why the output is like this. Now, how to write something in the canvas. So here the line is drawn, that is with the help of this JavaScript code. The JavaScript code says the script tag, which is a starting of JavaScript, and script end tag. This we have to give in the HTML if we are using internal JavaScript. We can also use external JavaScript we want. This we have to give after our elements are done for closing, because it should be before body closing, because it is dependent on one of these ID, right? So this particular my canvas ID is here, and this canvas element should load first with top to bottom approach is there. So topmost things works first in the browser. So this here canvas ID and canvas is there, and we are utilizing this ID here in order to select that particular element, and that is stored in, let's say, C variable. After that we are utilizing that only variable only where this whole element is stored, and we are saying that we want to draw 2D diagram on it. That's why get context 2D is there. We have to store it in another variable in order to have this element as well as this 2D context data stored somewhere. So this ctx has that data, or whatever we have mentioned, that information is there. Now we are trying to draw lines. So move to is method with where we have to provide x and y axis. So we have provided 0 0, so it is starting from top left corner. If we, let's say, 10 and 10, it will start somewhere here. So this is xy axis, and uh, to end that line you have to write line 2, and there also we have to provide the xy axis. So let's say the xy axis is here 180, so it will move like that. So we have to play with it in order to write whatever we want. And finally the stroke is there, which we are writing on that variable itself in order to output the line, because if you don't write this line there will be no output. So this is basic canvas. So we have just drawn a line. Now we will write a circle on it. So the first two lines are going to be the same, only the change is begin path. We have to write this method whenever we want to write a circle on canvas. So we have to define a path, and then we have to define arc as well. So arc is having xy axis as well, radius as well, and the circle formula as well. So you just play with these values and you will be able to write a circle on canvas. So let's say I am writing 90 here instead of 95. X axis is moved. Let's say I am writing 60, so y axis is moved. The same way I will write 30, so circle will be small because it is radius. The same way you can try these elements and the circle is half shown. The same way you can try to play with this, but you should not, because that is the uh, formula. But if you want, you can play with that as well. It will form circle like these, and you can create your own circles. So stroke is same, so only two lines are changed here, these way. And if you want to write a text on it, let's say, again both first two lines are going to be same. Then the third line will be font. We have to define how much pixel and which font family we want, and then we have to write field text method, in which we will be writing the text which we want to put, and where to put that in terms of x and y axis we have to write that as well. And once we are writing all these things, we don't need to use stroke in case of text, and here it is. we can move that as well. Like if I want 20, x-axis is moved to 20. The same way for that text, we can give the outline, and we just have to use stroke text method instead of field text method. Field text will simply put the text on canvas, but stroke text will have the outline as well. And this is the output. Instead of field text, we have used stroke text. Then there is a linear gradient. Again, both the two lines are going to be same. And in order to have linear gradient, there is a method create linear gradient. We have to provide this x and y axis. So this is xy axis of starting point, and this is xy axis of ending point. And these are the gradients which we are adding on top of this variable. So first variable is red and second is white. So red and white gradient we are going to have. This all information of gradient we have stored in GRD. So we have to tell that into field style property, and field style property will get all this information, and field rectangle will form the gradient. And for rectangle, these are the starting and ending points, and this is the output. Obviously you have to visit this page and play with the values in order to have your own gradient. Then we can also write a circular gradient like this. So it is starting from the center point, right? And in order to create that, we just have to change this line. So instead of linear gradient, it is radial gradient this time. And yeah, all the values remain same. We have to play with these values, like how much pixels we want in terms of gradient effect. So these are the xy axis. If we write, let's say 50, it is going to create 50 weightage of that dark background. If we write 5, then that weightage is minimized. If we write this 80, then also white color portion is minimized. The same way we have to deal with the values. Then in order to draw image, we need not to do much more stuff. We just have image here, which is having screen ID, and we have canvas. And for this canvas, on click of this button, we are going to execute this function. And this function says whichever ID is there, named as my canvas. So my canvas ID is this ID, which is a canvas ID. Create a canvas for that, and 2D is the context. And we are again writing get image, means get element by ID, and screen is the image ID. You say screen is the ID for image. And when we store that here, and when we want to draw image, we just use draw image method on ctx and provide our image ID. We can also provide x and y axis. So once we do that, when I click on this, the above image is getting printed here in the canvas. So canvas is done here. Now we will start with SVG. So SVG is a scalable vector graphics. So that is the full form, but the meaning is, let's say we want to, let me show you the example. Let's say we want to use the image here somewhere in our web page, and we want that image not to be pixelated. So now look at it. So let's say we have this image. I am going to zoom it, and as I zoom, the image is getting pixelated. You can see that it is getting pixelated because this image is a PNG or JPG image. But if you have, let's say, this image, which is of SVG, which is scalable vector graphic, it scale itself according to the screen height and width or size. Whatever pixels are there, that are going to be rescaled. And that's why when you zoom on this image, it is not going to pixelate. It is high definition image. That's the difference. And most of the website nowadays use that image. Here also, these images are nothing but the SVG images instead of JPG or PNG. I can show you that. I can zoom it, and if you see, these are not getting pixelated. Okay, so it is a scalable vector graphic, and it is used for the images which you don't want to be pixelated, like icons or logo of the website. And SVG is the tag. We have to write SVG tag here and end it here. We can define height and width of our SVG element. And inside that we can write a shape like rectangle, poly, circle, or whichever shape we want. And for each shape there are attribute and values. So cx is the circle x-axis for that circle, cy is the y-axis, r is the radius, stroke is green, so green border is there, stroke width is 4, so it is border width, and fill is yellow, which is background color yellow. So this way you can form this particular circle. If we want to have a rectangle, instead of circle we can use rect tag. Width and height going to be the attributes which will form that rectangle. Style is the css thing where we are adding fill this color, which is rgb, means blue color, and blue color is getting filled for the fill property. And when we write stroke, that is nothing but the border. So border is of 10 pixel and we have not given color, so it is of black color. And then there is a stroke. So this all thing is going to form this rectangle. The same way you can have rounded rectangle, and for that you have to use this rx ry as well. And here when we do stroke width 5, opacity whatever we want, and all these things, you can just play with it. And you can also change the border radius also here. So let's say instead of this 5, I will write 10, and you will see that stroke means border is increased. Now let's say opacity is 1. Instead of semi-transparent, I click to 1 and it is now dark. The same way I have this radius x and radius y. I am writing 10 here. So you will see that radius is getting changed right at the corners. And you can play with the radius as well. But these are standard shapes like circle, rectangle. But what if we have some complex shape like this or any other shape? Then we have polygon. Polygon tag we can use inside SVG, which has this XYZ axis. We have already covered it in image map chapter, but you can write these X and Y Z axis, and then you can write what the background should be. So lime is the background here, stroke is purple, so that's why border is purple, stroke width is 5 and the width of the border is 5 pixel, and field rule here is even odd. So when you write even odd, then the pixels or the points here you have used for x and y, right, that is going to have this particular line color to only the even and odd things. So if I don't write here even odd, it is going to look like this. Since I have written it here even odd, that's why it is looking like this. And you can play with these properties. SVG logos also can be created with the help of scalable vector graphics, because any company wants its logo to be HD, right, and not to be pixelated. And this is the difference between SVG and image I explained. But what is the difference between SVG and canvas? You will be asked about this question as well in the interviews. So as I mentioned, image and SVG difference, that SVG images does not pixelate. The same way, SVG and canvas difference is there, where canvas things gets pixelated when you zoom, and SVG will not. Then canvas things are mostly used in HTML games. Let's say if you want to play the game, so you can just write HTML game on the Google, and you will be able to see most of the games are created in a canvas only. Let me play one of these games, and let's see the code first. So I opened this particular game, let's say, and if I do inspect, I just want to see what code it is using, right? So I'm here, and let's see if this image is using the canvas or not. So inside this image, okay, so I clicked on play. Okay, okay, it seems like they are loading it. We can find another game which can quickly load. Instead of this, I will go somewhere else. Let's say snake game or HTML5 games. Yeah, here it is. Now let's say I want to open a basic game. I will open this time. Okay, this game. Okay. Now what we will do, we will see what tags are being used here. Yeah, they are using canvas. So that was my point. Nowadays, HTML5 canvas is popular, and most of the games are also built in canvas. And canvas is used for writing games or playing games or creating games or showing some 2D or 3D graphics, whereas SVG are more used in graph charts and creating logos or non-pixelated images, right? Both the things can be handled in the JavaScript, and canvas is resolution dependent. As I said, it can pixelate, but SVG cannot. SVG is also used in Google Maps and all. SVG supports event handlers because these are the tag based, but in canvas you don't find any tag. You have to write JavaScript to write some text or images on it, and that's why SVG has tags like circle, polygon, rectangle, and that's why you can write on click and other stuff on it, so anyone can interact with it. So SVG can be slow sometimes. Okay, so I already explained these difference to you. Here our SVG topic is also done. I hope I have covered most of the things and you will be able to watch and write your own code. Thank you for watching this video, and see you in the next video.